You're watching Inside Boston History.
For over 174 years, the hardworking men and women of the Charlestown Navy Yard have helped to keep the American nation and people safe by constructing, refitting, and repairing America's naval fleet. But who would protect the Navy Yard? That job fell to the leathernecks of the United States Marine Corps, who were stationed here as early as 1801. Throughout the Yard's history, the Marines have safeguarded its ships from sabotage, protected its workers, cared for valuable government property, and served the local community. When the Navy Yard closed in 1974 and became a part of Boston National Historical Park, the Marine Detachment left. Yet the Corps still has a powerful presence here. Building I of the Charlestown Navy Yard is better known as the Marine Barracks. Constructed in 1810, it has been the home away from home for generations of Marines and has the distinction of being the oldest standing Marine barracks in the country. The barracks you see today are a far cry from the accommodations that met the first Marine detachment in Charlestown. When the Marine Lieutenant Henry Caldwell and his men arrived, there were no barracks at all. Tents would serve the Marines during the warm summer months, but something had to be done for the cold and often brutal Massachusetts winters. At first, the Marines made do with an old lime shed they found on the property. The shed was poorly constructed though, and despite some improvements, provided little shelter. In 1810, construction began on a more permanent structure for the Marines at the Navy Yard. Money was tight though, and the Marines had to make do. Building materials such as planks and brick were taken from the yard itself, leftovers from the Navy. Much of the work was done by the Marines themselves. Finished in 1811, ahead of schedule, the one-story brick building, flanked by two three-story wings, could house over 100 men. Overlooking the bustling Navy Yard, with Boston Harbor beyond, the Marine Barracks have been a fixture here for more than 2 centuries, witnessing both the growth of Boston and the growth of the United States Navy, watching as wooden hulls gave way to steel, just as modern buildings gave way to skyscrapers. As the Navy Yard grew in size and scope, the number of Marines stationed in Charlestown increased. To make room for these new men, the barracks were constantly being renovated. After the Civil War, 2 stories were added to the center structure. Another story was added in 1900, this time to the whole barracks. A front porch was constructed by the Works Progress Administration in the 1930s and enclosed during the 1940s when yard production was at its peak. At its height during the Second World War, over 600 men called the Marine Barracks home. Today, the Marine Barracks serve the National Park Service as living quarters and administrative offices. You won't find any Marines in the yard today, but reminders of their presence are everywhere you look. Signs still bear the name of their last Marine occupants. Overlooking the drill field, you'll see the Torii Gate, commemorating Marine service in Japan. The eagle, globe, and anchor, symbol of the Marine Corps, still guards the main entrance to the barracks. Though the Marines are no longer here, their history and their legacy live on at the Marine Barracks in the Charlestown Navy Yard, just one small part of Boston National Historical Park.